Hey everybody, this is the Sliders Review. I'm here today to talk to you about Cloak and Dagger Season 2. Cloak and Dagger Season 2 is extremely good. Cloak and Dagger is one of the more better Marvel television shows because it is not connected to the MCU. There's no Disney baby humor, there's like no awkwardness. There is no trying to set this show up to like make a bunch of spin-offs or like connect it to like another movie that's going to be in the future. It's its own self-contained thing. However, it is connected, ironically, to that of Marvel The Runaways, which is on Hulu, which is funny because Cloak and Dagger was on Freeform television. And they did a crossover with that of the Runaways in the Runaways season 3. And ironically, also, it is also connected to the Netflix Marvel shows because in the first season they made reference to Misty from Luke Cage, but then in season 2 they actually name dropped Luke Cage in a newspaper article by name, connecting it to all this like Marvel television era. And sadly, this is the last season of Cloak and Dagger. We're not really sure why. Well, when I say we, I mean fans. Like we were not really sure, like why this show got canceled because it had high ratings and it had like a lot of positive reviews. People really liked. Well, some fans really liked the different take on which they took on Cloak and Dagger, this more emotional, vigilante, personal aspect of the characters, but other people probably preferred them to be more of the comics, which they were not. And so, because there were no costumes, and in the season 1, there was no real main villains from the comics, but in season 2, Despair does pop up and Mayhem. But they're different versions of what people know in the comics. And also, they changed their power sets because they're not allowed to be mutants in this television show. So they got their powers completely different. But it still has those hard hitting, like urban themes that the comics are known for. But some fans probably just didn't like it. But the main reason as to probably why the show got canceled is because of the MCU Disney Plus deal. Kevin Feige only wants Marvel television shows to be on Disney Plus and to be connected to that of the MCU, which this show is not. So many shows and all of the other Marvel television shows started dropping like flies as this new era started in the MCU. Personally, I think Cloak and Dagger is better than any and all of the MCU Disney Plus shows. Even though Cloak and Dagger doesn't have costumes and they're slightly changed from the source material, well, MCU shows are also changed from the source material as well. But MCU shows are just geared to that of young people, kids and families. Some adults, but they're not strong adult themes. Cloak and Dagger had strong adult themes. They had drug usage, human trafficking. They had racial divide and stuff like that. Corporations trying to get at the little person. This is stuff you don't see really in the MCU, and if you do, it's gonna be like a hoo 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 ha 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 kind of like goofy nature of it. Like there are gangsters in the second season, and they are as hardcore as they can be. But then when you go to say like Hawkeyes, the tracksuit mafia, they're gangsters, but they're all silly. They make jokes, they make puns. They're just a laughing stock. Disney needs to get their stuff in gear and be more hardcore like these other Marvel shows. That's why I praise some of these Marvel shows better than anything else. They are extremely good. Cloak and Dagger is extremely touching, beautiful. It is like organic. The first season was more emotional. We got to know the characters. It was like just beautiful storytelling. That's the only way you can put it. It's just beautiful storytelling. It's like poetry in motion. The season 1 was. Then season 2, they started becoming more of who they were in the comics. They started becoming vigilantes. And towards the end of the series, they became heroes of their own and forged the path of like protecting the innocent and stuff. And, even though season two wasn't as emotional as season one, season two was that nice bridge between like emotion and what it is to be like a vigilante turned hero and stuff. And this is like the strong themes of season two, especially when you throw Mayhem in the mix. Mayhem is a anti-hero of sorts in the comics. Her origin is a bit different here. They took a more logical, somewhat split personality feel to her and stuff, which is really unique and interesting. Now, when it comes to that of the despair, his storyline can get a bit confusing. They tried to make him a little sympathetic slightly, but he is villainous. Still Marvel has that villain problem, you know what I'm saying? But like at least this dude is a little bit more like, he's not scary, he's just determined, but they all determined. It's just Marvel has that they have a villain I don't know what it is with Marvel. They just can't get their villains right for some reason. And even though he's interesting and cool, he does get a bit confusing here and there. It slightly does get a bit confusing towards the end. And just like with any other show, it's not perfect. There are things that aren't like fully explained, like Scarborough from season one. Who really killed him? Did Tandy really kill him, or did somebody else? Most likely Tandy killed him and stuff. And it's kind of like, she doesn't she doesn't feel bad about it. She doesn't bring it up. Like, she keeps claiming she ain't never killed nobody, you know what I'm saying? But you can see there is a lot more edge to her. Now, the finale was pretty cool and interesting, but it does get a bit confusing at times. But the way they got rid of despair was just like something cool, man. I really love that effect. Now, when it comes to that of Cloak and Dagger's powers, one thing they didn't do this season is like, okay, in season one, they introduced a new power set to the characters that never in the comics. Basically, they touch skin on skin contact with somebody. Cloak is able to see everybody's fear and travel into their mind. And then Dagger is able to see people's hopes and dreams when she travels in their mind. They did that a lot in season one. And it was one of the better aspects of season one that helped make it so much more emotional and better. And it also helped them solve their loved one's murder and stuff. However, in season two, they have almost completely abandoned that new power set. They rarely use it in this season. In fact, they only use it maybe about 2 or 3 times, which is kind of odd. And it would have helped them figure out who was like really behind, who was despair and what he's really behind and stuff like that. But one reason why I guess they didn't use it is because the girls that despair, his victims, they no longer had hope, but they still had fear. So they could have used Tyrone's power, but they just didn't. They started using a bit more power set like in the comics, a little bit more amped up. Like you see Tyrone is starting to use his powers a whole lot more than in season one, and he's getting better control and he's able to amplify it up. We get to travel in the what is it called, a dark something dimension. It's like this dark realm that he's able to create where he sucks people in and stuff like that. God, I can't remember the name. Dark Force Dimension. And that's like really cool and neat and stuff. That's something from like the comics and stuff. And because this is where O'Connor went from season one and stuff. And so we get to explore that a whole lot more. I felt it could have been better visually, but it wasn't. So I guess they were trying to save on like the budget, and since that might have been the last season, so they were trying to save as much as possible to have more special effects with his powers and stuff. So the dark force dimension, and then later the Iowa dimension is just not really that impressive at all. And Dagger, even though she still uses her power, she doesn't use them as much as she used to. Mostly she just uses it to blind people. But there is slightly a bit more action and stuff. That is something that always bugged me about season one. Um, there's a bit more action and stuff, more hand-to-hand combat. There's a really good action scene that was pretty cool. There's a really cool scene with Dagger. She goes all Batman, the Dark Knight Returns, busting through walls and everything and dragging people through. Like, it's a cool thing and stuff. We don't see much of Tandy's mother this season. Once they have a huge like fallout, that's pretty much all you see of her. But then towards the end, you don't see much of Otis, who is Tyrone's father, but you see a lot of his mother, who was not much seen in season one, but she has a bigger part in season two. Andia, I think her name is. Also with Evita, Evita still has somewhat the same purpose that she had, or the same like screen time as she had in season one, but she has a bit more towards the end of season two and stuff like that. And we get to see a lot of O'Reilly, Bridget O'Reilly as Mayhem and stuff. And it's really cool to see the former Power Ranger lady play her. And so, like, even though I think season one is more like, emotional, at least season two is a bit more gritty and more realistic. The first season dealt with like, racial divide towards like black community and white cops shooting black kids and stuff like that. And also big corporations screwing things up for the little person. Whereas season two deals more with gangsters, drug dealings, and like mainly that's like in the first like episode or so, but it kind of disappears, but it ties into the bigger story arc of human trafficking and stuff like that. And this is the emphasis of season two, them trying to stop who's ever behind the drug traffic ring and stuff like that. Not drug traffic ring, but the human traffic ring and stuff. All these girls go missing, and you don't see the cops really trying to do anything about it. And so, because the police aren't going to do anything about it, Cloak and Dagger are. And so, like, characterized, like, Tandy, she's my favorite one. So let's start with her. Tandy Bowen is Dagger. She's able to construct daggers out of light. She's able to see people's hope, and she's able to blind people by making a giant ball of light illuminate the room and stuff. Season two, her and her mom are going to counseling, talking to like a woman's group about abusive men. In season one, Tandy found out her dad is abusive when both her and Tyrone touched the hand of her mother. She saw both her mother's hopes and her fears all at the same time, and that was her father. Now, apparently in season one, we only saw the father berate verbally Tandy's mom, Melissa. But what we didn't really know to the full extent, he actually smacked her around. Tandy was so young, she forgot all about this and stuff. And also, because she was listening to her headphones and music, she really didn't know the extent of what was going on because it happened in the other room. So she completely forgot about it until she saw her mom's memory. Because of this, Tandy is now on a path of stopping, like, abusive men. She's becoming a vigilante in that sort, but she does not tell Tyrone. And so when she's at the woman's like group meeting, she's hearing all these girls talking about their abusive boyfriends, and Tandy takes a liking to that of Michaela. She feels sorry for Michaela, but she gets pissed later on at her and stuff. And so this help group is really helping that of Tandy, but it's fracturing that of her mom later on when she tells her mom, why? If dad was so abusive, why didn't you leave and everything? Her mom's all like, she stayed, and she stayed for Tandy. She's like, don't try to put this on me. Like, you could have left. You leave bad people. And she gets upset at her mom when her mom starts drinking again. And when her mom starts later on taking pills and meeting men at the club, men with high profile like businesses, she meets like a doctor or something like that. And Tandy's all kind of like, this is just a repeat of like, almost like last year. See, it's been 8 months since season one, so this is just a repeat. She's feeling of her mom just getting with the guys so they can take care of her financially and stuff, and Tandy doesn't like that. After a huge blow up, she leaves her mom, and we don't see her mom no more. And then she goes to live with Tyrone at the church. That's where he's been living for 8 months. And when Tandy finds out what Tyrone has been doing for the past 8 months, she is pissed. He's been spying on his parents, he's been spying on his ex-girlfriend, and he's taking down gangsters and stealing from like, gang members their money and like drugs and guns and giving it to like, O'Reilly and stuff. She is pissed because Tyrone is supposed to keep a low profile. He is still wanted for the murder of that cop who is O'Reilly's ex, even though he did not murder him, and the disappearance of that of O'Connor. Anyways, when Tandy starts spying on Michaela, the girl from the abusive center, she spies and see that the boyfriend's being abusive again. She sneaks into the boyfriend's house when Michaela's not there, and with her daggers are as sharp as Wolverine claws, but sharper. And she can literally just cut through like a podium and everything, or a column. So she starts like carving words on his wall talking about leave her alone, and then she slashes the pillow next to him, but she wanted to cut him but doesn't. The next day at the group thing, Michaela's all like, oh, my boyfriend's being so much better now. He's nicer, he's sweeter. He told me some bad people like broke into like the home and like, trashed the place, but he fought them off and everything. This pisses off Tandy because she knows that did not happen. It was Tandy that trashed his place. And so her boyfriend is literally doing like the sweet talker thing and roping her back in, and Tandy does not like it. Tandy berates her in front of everybody, which causes the blow up between Tandy and Melissa, her mom. And so Tandy is just furious. She just doesn't understand why somebody will go back to an abusive person and stuff, And so she talks to the lady who runs the like abusive women's center, and that is Leah Alaya. And so Laya, her main boss dude is a dude named Andre the Chains. And they help young abusive girls and they counsel them and stuff like that. And so like so after that, she no longer really goes to that group because, now she's dealing with Tyrone's problem. Tyrone's problem is he's trying to get these drugs off the street and stuff because the gangsters are starting to come near his church where he stays at. And so, like I said before, she's pissed at Tyrone because they don't really argue that much no more in this season. They're bonding a whole lot more than what they did in season one, to where Tandy literally calls Tyrone her best friend. He is the only guy she trusts in the world and the only person she cares enough with her heart. And even though he's not in love with her because he still misses his ex-girlfriend, Evita, Tandy is growing stronger and stronger to Tyrone. This is why living for 8 months and him lying to her really hurt her, but she's been lying as well. And so like they rarely argue this season. And the bond between them is so strong and so pure. It's just lovely to see on screen. They're like not a couple, but she deeply does love him, like love him, but will not tell him that. And in the comics, it's interesting because they just had a partnership as like a superhero duo. But in the comics, they did eventually get together, but they can't stay together for long because they argue so much in the comics and stuff. And so she helps him, with his gang problem. And so this is when they go to the club and she drinks. And so she, they're because Tyrone had kind of messed things up with these gangsters and stuff, and I'll get to that a little bit later. And so a meeting got arranged at this club, so the two heads of the gangs can like talk it out. When they go there and they wait and everything, they noticed that one of the gangsters had his head's blood splattered on like a window. They go in there and somebody has murdered all the gangsters, but they don't know who it is. And so they hightail it on out of there. They later revealed it's revealed to be that of Officer O'Reilly. She's been acting very strange and very erratic and everything. And so like they don't know what the world's going on with her. But then Tandy starts to go down a dark place. O'Reilly is convincing her. So O'Reilly now is Mayhem. And O'Reilly is convincing her that the only way to deal with these bad people is to kill them. And so like they realize, oh, that was O'Reilly who killed those gangsters and stuff. And so Tandy, now still upset about this whole sex trafficking thing, she is starting to see what Mayhem is talking about, which upsets Tyrone and everything. And so, like, he's convincing her that you can't go around murdering people and stuff like that. That's just not the way and stuff. And she's all like, well, you know what? O'Reilly has, like, the cure for all this. And that is, like, some swift justice and everything. But, they go back and forth with that. Eventually, she realizes that what Tyrone is saying is true. And she doesn't go down that path. And she tries her best to stop Mayhem. But Mayhem is just like, whoo, you know what I'm saying? And so Tandy has decided the best way to stop these sex trafficking people is to like get captured. So when they find the girls who were a part of the human trafficking thing that was the victims and everything, Tandy uses her power to see the girls' hope. But it doesn't work. They are hopeless. They had nothing but despair and everything. And she doesn't understand how. And so, like, the girls, they won't tell who's behind all this because they're too afraid and everything. So Tandy goes undercover and she realizes she's gonna need an abusive boyfriend. And so I think what it is that I think somehow she finds out that the lady council lady, Lila, is responsible for this and stuff somehow. And so she arranges for Tyrone to be kind of like her abusive boyfriend pimp. And while Lila's like watching and stuff, this pisses off that of Tyrone. He's all like, oh, so you called your only black friend to like, be your abusive boyfriend slash pimp. And she's like, no, I called my best friend and everything and stuff. So this angers him, but it's enough that Lila is able to see. Because I forget how she finds out Lila is involved in all this. No, she doesn't know, I don't think. But she feels that somehow it's connected. So anyways, she is, oh, now I remember. She went to Lila as a friend. And Lila started like blabbing about like, abusive boyfriends and this and that and all this other crap and all this other stuff. So she knows somehow they're connected to the girls center, but she don't know how exactly. She just knows that all the missing girls come from there. So Lila tases her and everything and puts her in the back of an ambulance. And so as Tandy is like strapped down and everything, we now see the main boss dude. It is Andre, the dude who set all this up. And so Tandy, when she later went into like the dark forest dimension and everything, all of the girls who were taken captive and made into sex slaves and whatever, when she was in the dark forest dimension, it's just all blackness. And then there's like little Tyrone, but little Tyrone is not really Tyrone. He is like this voodoo god type dude named Papa something. I forget his name. Papa Legba or something like that. And so like he has her like, take away her powers with like this coin type thing, and it also takes away Tyrone's power at the same time, which gets him in a whole lot of trouble when him and his mom when the cops are around. But anyway, so they go to like a record shop because first it's like an abandoned type, like um gas station with the name Roxxon on it. And then it's like they look through it and it's like a mall. Inside the mall is a record shop and there's a bunch of records there. And on the records are all the names of the girls that are missing and also like their pictures. So they don't know what the deal with that is. It ties into Andre slash Despair and his new power set. And so all of a sudden, in a really, really, really out of the wall filler episode that just got on my nerves, we see Tandy and we see her living out different realities. And one reality, her father is alive and Billy, Tyrone's brother, is alive. And Tyrone has become a police officer. All of their families are there celebrating. It's Tyrone's big day. He is with Evita. And, Tandy is just so thrilled that her best friend, and also Connors is there as a good guy now. And she's happy that Tyrone's a cop doing good for the world and everything in the city or whatever. And so they go to like a gas station and they buy some stuff, but there are two racists there. One is just a racist customer and the other one is the one who runs the place, and they just like being very racist too. Now, one thing I will appreciate, this show, it has black gangsters and it has white racist people, but they never use the N-word. They can use any other type of word, but they don't use the N-word. They still are able to show their racism and stuff like that without having to use that word. That is something I am very thankful for, because I'm sick and tired of hearing that word. And thank God it was on Freeform, who does not allow that. If it was on Netflix, oh, they would have used that word in a heartbeat. If it was the CW, they would have used the other N-word as they did in Black Lightning, which got on my nerves. And so, like, it proves you can have racist type stuff and you can have gangster, but you ain't gotta use that word. And so things get kind of crazy, and I don't know what happens, but like something happens where the dude sees Tyrone gun, but he doesn't see his uniform because he's wearing his black hoodie. And he doesn't have his badge because Tandy has it. I don't know if Tyrone gets shot or not in that dream-like state, but then it cuts from that, and then it cuts from Tandy working at Roxxon. Her father got her like a job there, and we meet the Hess lady, Nina or Mina Hess from like first season. And so like all of a sudden the place is about to explode like it did in the last season. And then it cuts from that and it cuts to, I don't know what the other reality is, Tandy being a thief on the street, and she meets her boyfriend from the first season, who we haven't seen from the first season. She steals his wallet and she's getting chased by him and the cops. And then she meets Tyrone trying to like break into a car. They drive together and everything, being chased by cops, and they just talk and everything. And then she's starting to realize something. This is all playing out, but not the way it did in the real world. And then it's revealed that Andre is playing her record. See, what he does is he is in the, not the dark force dimension so much, but the Oa dimensions, which is kind of connected to the dark force dimension. It's weird. Like I said, it gets complicated. Then they throw in like voodoo, religion, and stuff like that. It gets complicated. And then so she realizes something. All those girls, the reason why she was not able to see the hope in them is because Andre takes, he drains them of their hope, and he leaves them with despair. And she tells him, like, this ain't her real life. And he's like, oh, but he puts fake memories into people, making them sad, and then taking away their hope and stuff. So his ability is similar to Cloak and Dagger. If he touches somebody, he is able to drain them of their hope and leave them with like despair and all this other crap. And the reason for that is because of something he's going through. He goes through like these migraines and stuff. And then he reveals to her how he got his powers and all of this other stuff. The same night they got theirs. And cause he was on like that bridge ready to commit suicide and stuff. And so now we know who our true main big baddie is and everything. And so like, but the problem is, he has to keep giving her all these fake memories because she keeps waking up. And they have to keep drugging her and stuff. The drugs are what Tyrone was trying to get off the streets because they take this and they inject it into these girls and they put them in this motel type place. And so she thinks she frees herself, but it's a fake memory. And then she's in so much despair, she gives away her daggers, and now Andre has her. And Tandy is taken to one of the worst places ever, a motel with a bunch of girls with the human trafficking thing. Lila is there, a big bodyguard dude is there, and they let her know she's living there to the day she dies and everything. And that's what they do. They use these girls to drain the hope from them, then they put them out and prostitute them and stuff. She tries to escape by going across the street and getting on the bus, but the bodyguard is there. One of the girls ratted her out. And she did that because she's all like, if you try to escape, they're going to kill you like these group of girls. Tandy tells her those girls are safe, but they're in like police custody and everything. And so she has to find a way to break out. But the problem is she don't have her powers no more. She has been drugged too much and she gave up her powers in that little dark forest dimension type place. Boy, when Tyrone finds her and she's able to get her powers back, it is one of the coolest scenes I've ever seen. Like, we saw Tandy use her powers before. She fought a bunch of like gangsters off, but they blinded her with pepper spray. But we see her, man. She's like throwing like her energy force, blinding them. She's taking a shovel. She's smacking them in the head. She's kicking them. She's throwing them against walls. This girl is a fighter. And this girl will not be taken lightly and stuff, especially when you try to do things to her. Boy, I'm telling you, when she was able to get her hope back, because one of the girls there who ratted her out got her hope back, and somehow all this caused like Tandy's power to come back. When that dagger, because there was a dude in the room getting ready to do her, and Tandy's dagger came. Boy, oh boy, I'm telling you, this was a huge like thing. It was awesome. Tandy like messed him up. She ain't kill him, but she messed him up. She was like slashing him, but she ain't kill him. Then when Lila's talking to the girl that ratted her out, she's all like, nobody wants you no more. You're just a burden to everybody. And all of a sudden we see two fists coming through the wall with a dagger in one hand, grabbing Lila and dragging her through the wall, Dark Knight Returns style. Tandy comes through and the girl's like, what you gonna do? And she's all like, I'm gonna mop up the floor or something like that. And then she slices through the doors and kicks them open. And with all these guys, she's like hitting them with her dagger. She's punching them and stuff. And then on Tyrone, he comes in with the ambulance and like he just runs through like the motel with the ambulance, but then he teleports out and then he's fighting the big bodyguard dude. Tyrone can't fight. He's just punching this dude, but it just ain't working. But he's like teleporting left and right. He's using his powers in like an awesome way. And it's just like cool. Then he goes inside. He beats up more of the guys with his powers. And he throws a dude through the window. Of course he is dead if you throw him through a window on the second floor. And then all of a sudden we see Tandy just like busting through doors and she's running through like, the balcony and everything. They have her dressed up in a white doll dress. Her hair all dolled up so she can be presentable to the guys. So she's wearing this short dress and she's just running through like the balcony, barefooted and everything. She cuts and slices through a door, kicks it open, and then she's just like, knocking guys left and right. And then she using like multiple daggers and she's just throwing them through the wall. And then she just runs through the wall, just like rams through the wall and everything. And she sees Tyrone and she's so happy because it's the dude she loves and it's her best friend. until Tyrone collapses. And when he collapses, all of his smoke encases his body. Something is weakening him. And so it's her and Mayhem have to go inside him to, like, fix things. And then she ends up bringing Connor back when she tried to bring also the cop lady. No way. Mayhem's already inside Tyrone. She takes O'Reilly. I'll get into that a little bit later. Um, and stuff. So basically, after that, after she saves him and everything, her and Tyrone have to stop that of what's his name, the big bad and everything. So let's get in some other people. For the past 8 months, Tyrone has been living in the church. He cannot go home. He is still a wanted cop killer, even though he did not kill that cop. And the only person who can confess is trapped inside Tyrone's dark force dimension and stuff, O'Connor. And so Tyrone hates this, but he still keeps up on the people that he loved. He spies on his mom, he spies on his dad, and he spies on Evita. A new dude is talking to Evita. He now knows, like, he ain't got it no more, Now his parents are separated. They don't really go into why they're separated, what caused their problems, but we don't see much of Otis, his dad, in this season. When we do see Otis, he's rebuilding Tyrone's cloak from season 1 that got ripped up. He's making a brand new one. And so with his mom is just depressed, like super depressed, and she's trying to figure out, like, to clear her son's innocence by gathering as much information as possible. What Tyrone's been doing for the past 8 months, he has been stealing from gangsters, their money, their drugs, their weapons. This is pissing them off to where they think the other gang is doing this. Tyrone is using his powers to do this, and he's been practicing a lot more. So when he gives all this stuff to O'Reilly, she is kind of like, I told you to lay low and I told you to stay out those gangsters' ways. But he's all like, I had to. They was heading towards my church. And she's all like, all you did was screw things up. Now there's going to be a gang war between the two gangs and stuff. And so, like, she keeps telling him to stay out of it, but he doesn't. So what him and Tandy do after they have that huge argument, I think O'Reilly say Tyrone has set up a gang meeting at a club. So they go there. But like I told you before, all the gangsters are now dead. They don't know O'Reilly is the one who did it. But it turns out it is Mayhem and everything. From the when she got blasted in the face by that gas in season 1. And so, like, Tyrone's whole thing this season started off with the whole gang war type thing. But then that quickly gets squashed to go into the human trafficking stuff. But the human trafficking and the gang stuff is slightly related. The gang is supplying them with the drug they need to sedate the girls. So they have to find out who is buying this, like, drugs from them and stuff. So, of course, he does not listen to that, what's her name? But O'Reilly, Mayhem, she needs Connors, because he is the only person who can get Tyrone off the hook so he can be a free man and stuff. And so what happened was Tyrone went to go visit, I think, like, his ex-girlfriend Evita. And she's shocked and surprised to see him at school, because he hasn't been at school in 8 months. He's actually keeping up with his studies. What he does is he has Tandy, like, steal a bunch of school books and find out what the lessons are. So she gives it back to him. Oh, I forgot to mention, Tandy is now doing ballet again. How did she get the money to do ballet? Who knows? Because she's still living poor and everything. And so, like, that's one of those things that pisses me off at the show. They don't explain things like that. And so, like, but she's helping him keep up with his schooling. So that's a good thing. Like, he doesn't want to be like Tandy. He don't want to be a high school dropout and stuff. But then when he visits Evita, he shows her what he can do with his powers and stuff. Because she never knew that. She doesn't know that he even has that type of power. She is pissed beyond belief. She's all like, 8 months, you could have visited me and but you didn't and everything. And he's like, oh, so you've been spying on me and stuff like that. So she doesn't want nothing to do with him. So he is heartbroken, and it sucks because he really, really liked her and stuff. And so him and Tandy are now looking for the human traffickers and stuff. When they find the girls, they realize somebody's using drugs to like sedate them. So now they have to find which gang is supplying them with the drugs and stuff. And so like, what is it? Something about, I forget, something happens with like the gang. Um they go and they like try to stop like this one gang or something like that. And so while they're there, because Mayhem is going after the gang, because she's all like, okay, well, if the gang are supplying these dudes with the drugs, I'm just gonna take out, the gangs. See, I haven't got so much into Mayhem yet. She's different from the comics. There's two. There's O'Reilly and there's Mayhem. Not a split personality, two actual people. Tyrone and Tandy found this out when they found both of them in the same in different locations and brought them together. And so Officer O'Reilly helps him find out who the next victims are going to be. So when they go to the gang and everything, Tyrone is, they're doing like him and Tandy doing like their fighting and stuff, and they have to hurry and stop for Mayhem murders everybody there. Because Mayhem is super strong. She can literally pick up like a car if she wanted to. And so like he sees this one gangster dude named Solomon, and he teleports in front of him. He doesn't understand how he's able to do it, but Mayhem comes up shooting up the place. So when she's about to shoot Solomon, he takes pity on him and he teleports in front of Solomon. And he does like, that whole smoke thing where his whole body turns into it, like he did O'Connor, to absorb the bullets. And then he absorbs Mayhem within his body and just basically just eats her. Like his powers just like eats her and stuff. It's kind of hard to explain. And so Tandy's kind of like, what the world you do? And he's all like, well, I kind of did this before the Connors. And so like they have to find a way to like get inside him and like, whatchamacallem, get Mayhem back and all this other crap. So he's able to use this, I don't know how to pronounce it. It's like Veve. It's kind of like, it's a voodoo symbol, religious type symbol and stuff. He has one, I guess Tandy has one. Theirs are like connected and whatnot. And he's been using this symbol to amplify his powers and stuff. And he uses like, the gunpowder from all the guns. He stole it to like, enhance his powers because he's still learning how to do them. And he doesn't know how to teleport two people at a time because he was in the back of the ambulance with one of the kidnapped girls, but he was not able to take her with him. And so this symbol and him practicing, he's now able to take multiple people at one time when teleporting, but it makes him weak and stuff. So he's using this new power a lot in this season. And so they travel into his dark forest dimension. And this is, no. I think Tandy goes in there because she needs a way to trigger it. So I think she scares him. He's all like, it only happens when people shoot at me. So she starts throwing daggers at him, but it's not working because he's not scared of Tandy. But then she starts bringing up things about like his brother and all this other stuff, making him scared. And then it triggers it and she goes inside him. She finds Papa Legba and stuff like that. And she also finds Mayhem and all this other stuff in the record shop and all this other crap. And then she finds O'Connor. Mayhem is there and she somehow takes O'Connor back with him. This pisses off that of Tyrone. He's all like, dude, you brought back the dude who killed like, my brother. But she's all like, but he can clear your innocence. But they have to find him. He took off running. And so like this causes an argument between those two. And then he goes looking for Connors. And then he finds O'Connor at like the dock, and O'Connor pulls a gun on him. But then he gives it to Tyrone and tells him, "I give up, man. Like I feel sorry for what I did to you." And he's all like, "But Tyrone don't believe it. You know what I'm saying? Like why should he? This is a dirty cop." And he tells him straight up, 8 months in pure darkness drove him like with a lot of guilt, and he feels terrible. So he tells Tyrone and gives Tyrone the hacksaw he used to like, cut the pole off to kill like that cop that O'Reilly was dating and stuff like that. And he just confesses and confesses. So Tyrone takes him to his dad. They tie him up, and Tyrone's dad literally wants to kill him, but he doesn't let him. So O'Connor gives up the one card that he needs to free himself, his get out of free card. He tells him about his uncle, the senator, and how he called him the night he killed Billy. And he teaches Tyrone how to get into like, his uncle's like place and all this other crap, and how to get the key and how to find these documents that will free Tyrone and stuff. So Tyrone does all this only for the bottle to be empty with no documents in it. And so like this pisses off Tyrone. And Tyrone has now taken Connors to that of like his mom. And his mom holds him captive and everything. And she wants to kill him as well. And then him and her have a nice heart to heart and everything. And then Connors and Tyrone's mother have a heart to heart. I'll get into that later. And so like now, after Tandy, him had that blow up, and then he saved Tandy and everything, and at the motel and stuff, he is now weak, very, very, very weak and stuff. And so he is now trapped within his own dark force dimension and stuff. It's like his body kind of like needs to heal, and he's kind of just in a gloomy kind of place. Somebody has his soul. The person that has his soul is somebody, I don't even know who the world this is. Baron Sam something. It's not the religious deity, it's the one from the Marvel comics and stuff. He has possession of his soul. And so Tandy needs help. And so who do her and O'Reilly go to? Evita and stuff. And Evita wants to help Tyrone. She ain't in love with him no more, but she'll help him. And so she tells him, you have to travel to like, the other dimension and stuff like that and get him out. And so like they go there, right? It's cool. Tyrone's just playing like an arcade video game. And when he's playing it, it's him and it's Tandy, but they're in their respectable like costumes from the comics. So he has his cloak, and she has kind of like this jumpsuit, this white jumpsuit that she wears in like the comics. So when they start playing, guess who's playing Tyrone's record? Despair. This is what Despair has like locked on to like Tyrone and stuff like that. And so he's playing them all these like records that make him all sad and gloomy, taking away his hope. And so when they are in the arcade game, somehow it's now live action. And Tandy's in a makeshift outfit similar to her comic book outfit, but not really. And Cloak is just wearing his actual cloak from the comics that he wore in season 1. Tandy's kind of wearing like a white leotard ballerina type outfit. And it's kind of fitting because she does ballet and stuff. So Tyrone's all like, oh, I guess this is kind of like what happened in season 1. Time to take out the imaginary bad guys. So it's kind of cool. We see like the arcade version, and then we see like the live action version simultaneously and everything. She's just killing 10 people left and right, and he's taking people out with his fist. It's cool because it's kind of like comic bookish, you know what I'm saying? And even Despair is in there with his comic book outfit, but in the arcade form and stuff. And it's just kind of like neat. Like you would never see the MCU do anything like this, And it's sad for Tyrone. Like the dude is just sad. Like everything has been taken away from this dude. His woman or his girl or whatever, his parents. And he only has his best friend to hang out with and stuff. He can't even play basketball no more. He can't go to school no more. Like it really sucks for this dude. His parents are broken up, and and all this craziness is like going around. And so like what it is like Evita, she does this kind of, I don't know what it's called. It's some kind of like voodoo wedding where she is like Tyrone's like wife or something like that, and she does this bridal thing. I don't understand it. I'm not into like, voodoo religion. I don't know much about it. And the show doesn't really explain that much. And so like she is able to get him out of there, right? Now you might be wondering, why isn't Chantel doing all this? Evita's aunt. Well, because Chantel has been killed by that of Andre. Somehow he went to I'll explain that. Well, basically he goes to Chantel, takes her into that different dimension and kills her there. And all this other stuff. And so, now Tyrone is now using that one gangster to help him, figure out the drugs and figure out where Andre is. Andre is now on the run. And so the gangster dude, Solomon, he can't even read. He's been taken in at a young age in the gang. And so Tyrone is really helping him be a better man and everything. So he's helping Tyrone back out. And he gives him the location where the drugs are. Tyrone intimidates the crap out of these two gangsters. Tyrone went hardcore. He didn't have to go that hard, but boy, he went hardcore. He goes in there with the gangsters and they're shooting left and right. All the gangsters are dead because Tyrone is literally teleporting in front of one gangster and letting them get shot. And then Tyrone takes the two gang leaders and put them on the roof. And he's all like, you know who I am? The dude's all like, oh yeah, you that punk who like stole my money. And he's like, ooh, wrong answer. And Tyrone takes him and throws him off the building. But then he saves him. And he letting them know, I ain't playing around with y'all. You don't tell me what I want to know. I'm going to throw you off the building. I'm going to save you. But at one point, I ain't going to save you no more. And he tells him straight up, any person who wants this certain type of sedative type drug, you don't sell to them. And I want to know who it is and stuff and where their location is and all this other crap. Tyrone went hardcore on those dudes. It's a great scene. Like, it was something out of like Batman or something, So let me get into a couple more characters if I get to the big climax of like the ending. So let's get into Mayhem. Now, first, let's actually get into Tyrone's mom. Tyrone's mom really hates O'Connor. O'Connor has messed her whole family up. Killed her son, made her think Tyrone was like a liar, drug user type person. He really messed things up and now has framed Tyrone for the murder of a cop he did not do, and it's caused her and her husband to split up. She wants vengeance and everything. And so she has some documents on O'Connor, but she doesn't have much. She needs a confession from him, and she's able to get it. She wants to know where Billy's body's at, because they was never able to bury it, because it was down in the water, but it ain't there no more. O'Connor's uncle got the body and stuff. And O'Connor buried it in the fairgrounds and stuff like that. After getting a confession, and then probably a signed confession, I'm not really sure. She murders him. He has to use the restroom. He goes in there. The whole restroom is decked out in like plastic coverings. The kind that you use to like put on the floor when like, you're painting the house. And she shoots that dude point blank and everything. And then she goes to that one like pastor dude who used to work at Tyrone's school. The pastor dude really never has a real true purpose on the show. I don't know why he's there. He's barely in the show. Basically, Tyrone saw his fears and the dude killed the girl and he got drunk. He quit his job. He couldn't help Tyrone. He's now a drunken pastor who preaches on the streets in a crazy rant. But she tells him she has to confess to him and give him the documents. She gives him some documents. I don't know if those are documents, the get out of free card that the uncle had. But and if it is, I don't know how she got it and everything. But that's never really explained that well either. But anyway, the pastor gives it to the press. The press busts that of like, the uncle senator, and Tyrone is, I don't know, but he's not necessarily free yet. Because she killed O'Connor and everything, and he could have really confessed and everything. But Mayhem takes O'Connor's body and hangs it up in the shooting range and everything. So I don't, it's in the air if Tyrone is clear or not. But let's get into Mayhem. So go watch the first review about the whole O'Reilly thing. Basically, her boyfriend got fridged and she got beat up by O'Connor, and then O'Connor shot at her, but it hit the pipe, and like all that like toxic chemicals went in her face. And when she came out the water, she came out as Mayhem. And then so the show does a really good job making you think it's like a split personality type thing, but it's not. It's actually two different sides of her, two different people. And Mayhem tied up O'Reilly and left her in her apartment until Tyrone saved her. And then when he took her to find Tandy, they find Mayhem. Surprised to see that there's two O'Reillys and everything. Now, this version of Mayhem does not have her green gas that messes people up, her poison gas. Instead, she just has super strength, and she's really, really angry and stuff. She is a vigilante, and to tell the difference, she wears like a green jacket and green fingernail polish for some bizarre reason. They couldn't give her green gas. Like, why not? That would have been cool. But they give her super strength. But the super strength is later abandoned after the first time we see it, and it's kind of like, well, what happened to it? So that's what pisses me off, that there's an error in the writing. And so Mayhem is just all anger from that chemicals from last season. And she wants to avenge this street. She wants to get rid of the gangsters, the drug dealers, and the people who's doing like the human trafficking and stuff. But she's murdering the villains and everything. And Tyrone and that of Tandy are trying to stop her. Well, Tyrone puts her in that dark dimension and everything where she stays, which later crosses over into like the ion dimension, or however you pronounce it, of that of despair. And so O'Reilly now, in the real world is helping to stop the human trafficking stuff. But nobody's really bringing up the whole O'Connor thing. Like the police aren't, and the police aren't really looking for the missing girls and stuff. So it's kind of weird that they're not doing that. But it's a corrupt police force, but she's still working for them. And it's kind of like, dude, O'Connor whooped the crap out of her in front of all the other cops, and nobody's bringing that up. That's just weird. That's just lazy writing, in my opinion. And so, when Tandy, see, what helped give Tandy back her hope was Mayhem in the record store breaking all of Tandy's records and stuff, giving her back her powers. And so Mayhem pretty much stays there until Tyrone is hurt. So O'Reilly and Tandy have to go inside Tyrone. And when they do, Mayhem and O'Reilly have a heart-to-heart to where they have decided they're going to share the body. So now it's kind of like the comics, a little bit, kind of. So there's going to be more like a Harvey Dent, Two-Face kind of situation where it's kind of like, when one wants to be front and center, they'll take over the body and stuff like that. But Mayhem is still angry. And it's to the point where her and Tandy are literally fighting hand to hand and everything. And so when Tyrone and them are and Tandy are in the big climax of the season, Mayhem actually helps Evita out. She helps, because see, Despair sends these shadow people. Well, first they're shadow people, but they didn't have the budget. So now they're just people wearing SWAT uniforms and stuff. And she helps protect Evita as she's doing her voodoo ritual to help Tyrone and Tandy and stuff. And so after that, she hangs up Connor's body. And so the whole police force knows that, oh, he's been found, but he's dead. So the police are still going to probably think that, Tyrone did it and stuff. But let's get into Andre Despair. They completely redid Despair in this season, reinvented him and stuff. Andre used to be a jazz musician and stuff, playing the trombone, trumpet, and everything. And so he gets these bad migraines, and they're so bad that he can't focus on his career, and he's messing up, and he decides just to end his life. So he's gonna jump off the bridge. The explosion from last season went off, and then he gained powers. He's able to suck out the hope in people and give them nothing but despair. And when he does that, he's able to appear both in the real world and in the dark forest dimension at the same time, which other people are not able to do. And so he has a little record shop in the mall in the dark dimension, and every time he touches like a person, see, he uses the cover of like this like woman's like victim center type thing, abuse center, to like, you know, kidnap a bunch of young girls. He takes their despair from them, and then he gives them to Lila, who does like the sex trafficking thing. And so like his whole thing is he just wants his headaches to go away. And when he takes the hope out of people, it makes his headaches go away. And this first happened when he was found in the hospital by Lila, who is now a nurse. And he touches her, and that's what happened. See, Lila used to be she used to play like a cello and everything. But then something happened, and she became a nurse and stuff. And so they worked together. And he ends up killing Chantel and everything. Chantel tells, you know, Evita, you must take over as like, you know, the new voodoo lady type thing that she does. But Evita doesn't want to. She wants to be like in the medical field. But she's all like, no, girl, you have the sight just like me, and this is your calling. So this upsets Evita, and why she helps out in the end. And so his whole thing is he needs enough victims to make his headaches go away. But after talking to Chantel, he realizes he can have the powers of like a deity. He can be like a god. But in order to unlock his Veve, his voodoo symbol, he has to unlock it through like a door. He can't pass through the door. But he realizes that the door is kind of like a musical note, and he wants to play what's known as like the blue note that can make everybody in town give up their hopes, and he gives them nothing but despair and everything. After getting caught, he drains that of Lila. She is literally just like a lifeless corpse in a coma and everything. And Tandy and Andre, they realize that, you know, crap, he's gonna do this to the whole city, if not the whole world and everything. So they try to stop him, but they have to find him first. He's at his old stomping grounds. So after help from Solomon, he tells, and the gangsters and everything, they find out that he's at his old place he used to perform. But it's the new location, not the old. And so they realize that and go to the old location. By this time, he got way more victims. He took that of Melissa, Tandy's mom. Tandy has no idea where her mom is. She assumes she's just drunk, back on drugs, and with some random guy. Until they go to his concert. His concert has tons of female victims there. And so he's draining the hope out of them by using his voodoo symbol and stuff. Tandy and them, they try to stop him. So they have an idea. If Tandy can throw a dagger through Cloak when he's doing his dark dimension stuff, and be positioned in front of somebody, the dagger will pass through Tyrone and go into that of Andre. And that's what happens. They say he's not dead, but he's just like in a coma and stuff. But the other version of him is in that dark dimension. But now they're calling the Aya, like dimension. I don't know. I just still call it the dark force dimension. But it's where he's been, like, ever since he got his powers, he went into that dimension and stuff. He's able to pop in and pop out. So, of course, in the big climax of all things, he's trying to stop Cloak and Dagger. But he gives Cloak and Dagger their costumes from the arcade game. So Tandy's back in her ballerina outfit, and Tyrone now has his cloak from season 1. And they're trying to stop what's his name. Thank God, because I was tired of that hoodie. And so, like, they're trying their best to stop him, but he's letting them see their despair. The despair for, of course, Tandy is her abusive father, telling her she's worthless and all this other crap and all this other mess. And for some reason, Tyrone just sees himself, but the cop version that was inside Tandy's mind. Why he didn't see Billy, I don't know. Maybe the actor wasn't available, so he has to fight himself. It is a losing battle, and Tyrone is drifting into his despair, and Tandy is like talking about she has her best friend who has her back, and so Tyrone is able to gain some strength. So they fight each other's despair. So Tyrone fights like Tandy's father, while Tandy's fighting Cop Tyrone, which makes no sense. I think the actor who plays Billy just wasn't available. That's what I'm assuming. And so, they're able to, like, fight them off as long as they can. But Andre Despair is getting tired of hearing this crap. And so, like, he's playing his blue note. And when he's playing his blue note, it is sucking everybody in the city into the dark dimension and stuff. And so now he has more and more victims as they're all there for his concert. Well, Tandy and Tyrone are able to get the upper hand and use their powers. So Tandy uses her daggers to put the hope back into his victims. They take hold of, like, Andre and hold him down, while Tandy is using her power and that giant, like, light ball to, like, make, like, blind Andre and stuff. Did I say hold down Tyrone? I'm gonna say hold down Andre. Hold down Andre and then use the power to, like, blind him, bringing the hope back into the women as they hold him down. Then, in the biggest fashion ever, I did not see this coming. Tandy, I say Cloak and Dagger now, use their powers together to kill the mental version of, like, Andre and stuff. It was the coolest thing ever, because he's all like, oh, all you have is a bunch of, like, daggers, a bunch of knives. So like, oh yeah, well, I got a sword now. And she uses her daggers to form a sword, which is what she does in the comic. So what happens? Position in front of Andre is Cloak, and he does his dark dimension thing, and out comes Dagger. She jumps through his chest with her sword and plunges it into Despair, killing him and everything. So I'm assuming Andre's in a coma in the real world, and so everybody is now free. The senator has been, like, arrested, and, like, then we see Melissa and Tandy say their goodbyes as she packs a bag for Tandy. What's going on and everything, right? Well, Evita wants nothing to do with Tyrone no more. She is now going to take her path as, like, this high priestess of, like, voodoo and stuff. But she no longer wants nothing to do with Tyrone and stuff. She is upset that he didn't visit her in those 8 months. And she can probably also see that him and Tandy's bond is stronger than light and darkness and stuff, and that he is chosen for. So she just leaves him alone. Well, Tandy is on a train, not a train, but like a bus, and she's leaving the city. And it's kind of like, whoa, why is she leaving for? And next thing you know, Tyrone shows up and is all like, where you headed and everything. She's headed towards some beach because O'Reilly / Mayhem gave her a leads up on more girls that went missing in the human trafficking thing. Dagger has now decided she has gone from being a vigilante and she wants to be on a hero's path. So she is now leaving the city to help young girls in need and other people. Tyrone / Cloak has decided that, there's nothing for him no more in the city, and he's still somewhat of a wanted man. So he is going to give his partner some backup and everything, and now they have left the city together as, like, a superhero duo looking to stop crime wherever they can. They have now finally become superheroes and stuff. However, he does not have his cloak and she does not have her white outfit. He's back to wearing his black hoodie and everything, and what is it? She just wears whatever. And so this is the end of their journey. Like, they went from being, like, just two random people, then later destined to be together, to later fulfilling their destiny and being heroes. And I love it, and we don't see them again until the Runaway season 3 when they had that crossover and stuff. Olivia Holt, she plays Tandy, and she's currently on a show now called, I think, Big Sky on ABC. or it might be on Freeform. I can't remember which one, but she's a former Disney Channel star. So she's come a long way because, you know, it's hard for Disney Channel stars to find work after Disney Channel. Aubrey Joseph, he plays Tyrone, and he's an actor slash rapper, and he has a few tracks on the soundtrack of Cloak and Dagger. Emma La Hannah, she plays Bridget, and she's best known for playing Kira, the yellow Power Ranger from Dino Thunder. And you know, she's also done like another show on the CW and a few other stuff, but like her fake American accent is so much better now. Like she's really been practicing on it because she's from New Zealand, so she has that Kiwi accent. And when she first did Power Rangers, you could hear a little bit of her Kiwi accent coming out in her voice. And it's just like she's worked on it so much that it sounds so real now. So like I said before, even though this season wasn't as emotional as like season one, because they really put on like the emotion, it still had emotion nevertheless. And it was still a very good season. It was more focused on them becoming destined heroes and stuff. And I love it. These two people are awesome. They're like two halves of like a coin and everything. They are forever destined in each other's light and darkness. And it was such a great series, and it sucks it had to come to an end, all because Disney got very, very, very greedy. This is not on DVD. This is not on Disney Plus. You can only find it on Hulu. Alrighty, well, I'll talk to y'all later. Bye.